Howdy ho, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. This is going to be a very short, special episode. We got breaking news. I was tipped of this earlier, and I was waiting for a mainstream media backup to confirm. But as the headline says, there has been a ceasefire negotiated by the Biden administration, and it will be at the moment, it is a 6-week modified ceasefire, and the hostages will be released. That is the breaking news. Comes from the Jerusalem Post as well as other sources. And this is something Biden has been trying to do, and now they have negotiated a ceasefire. 6-week ceasefire. We'll see how long it lasts, okay? We'll be talking about this, of course, on Friday at 9 o'clock with Chris. I'll be on tomorrow night at 9 for an episode on the upcoming eclipse on April 8th. And let's roll on with the rest of the breaking news for today. Once again, Joe Biden and the Biden administration have negotiated a ceasefire in Gaza. And it's a 6-week ceasefire. It's not permanent. It's a 6-week ceasefire in exchange for, of course, humanitarian aid coming in, but the hostages being released. Representative Chip Roy calling out the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. This is a fellow Republican on the House floor earlier today, and there we go.
No, we're not going to just pass the buck and say that, oh, any president can walk in and secure the border. I saw former President Trump make that allegation earlier today on one of his social media posts. All the president has to do is declare the border is closed, and it's closed. Well, with all due respect, that didn't happen in 2017, 18, 19, and 20. There were millions of people who came into the United States during those 4 years. No, we're not.
That was the Trump administration he was referring to. So some members of Congress are starting to push back a little bit against some of the things that are being said. Now, this next one, well, Iran says that tall white space aliens control America. This comes from Forbes magazine, Forbes.com, documents linked by Edward Snowden. It's allegedly conclusively proved that tall white space aliens are in control of America. One of the other things mentioned in the title is Aaron Rodgers for vice president. Well, Robert Kennedy Jr., this is according to Rolling Stone and other sources, Robert Kennedy Jr. has tapped New York Jets Aaron Rodgers and wrestler Jesse the Body Ventura as top running mate picks on his independent presidential ticket. This is how Rolling Stone presents it. And both men have allegedly agreed to be considered. Joe Biden's lead over Donald Trump in the polls have suddenly ended. That happened, come out 10 hours ago from Newsweek. The reason for this, of course, is the American people seeing Biden in that State of the Union speech, and plus more attention being paid to what the former president, Donald Trump's, actually saying. A lot of gossip going on, a lot of rumblings about potential NATO countries independently involving themselves in the Ukrainian war, and German military still faxes documents. They still use fax machines, and they cannot radio any of their allies. That's an official warning, and that is distributed through the Financial Times. Ukraine says they're prepared to test the United Kingdom's new Dragonfire long-range laser air defense system in combat conditions. It costs just 10 lira per beam emitted. This could be a game changer in helping Ukraine control airspace and protect civilians from Russia's daily war crimes. It also could impact the opinions of those that call us conspiracy theorists when we show you lasers coming down from the sky and starting fires. Here's what that looks like going from the ground up. And again, from the sky down, as mounted on the front of planes, which we have previously showed you on this program. Just a reminder, in case you're just joining us, this is not a joke. This comes from the New York Times. The NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, former host of Jeopardy, and also current quarterback, de facto quarterback of the New York Jets after a Achilles tendon tear last season, sidelined him after only 4 plays. He and former Minnesota Governor Jesse the Body Ventura, championship wrestler. Okay, that's how he was referred to by Rolling Stone. New York Times refers to him as Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. So, again, the way media presents even headlines gives you an indication of possible agendas. They are the top 2 considerations for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in his independent run for the presidency, and we'll discuss all of this more in an upcoming episode, of course. But this is breaking news. This is breaking news as well. We played Congressman pushing back on why Trump didn't close the border when he was president. Well, Ken Buck is resigning from Congress effective next week. In recent months, Buck has become a fierce critic of Trump and MAGA Republicans, saying, quote, "I'm not going to lie on behalf of my presidential candidate or on behalf of my political party." So something to consider. Now, this resignation also shrinks the Republicans' House majority, as long as that seat will remain open. We've talked about Haiti quite a bit in last night's episode with Chris. If you haven't seen it, it's Worldview with Chris. Go back and take a look at that. Incoming Haitian invasion is what Representative Matt Gaetz is trumpeting. The Department of Defense officials did testify before the House Armed Services Committee today, and says that the Biden administration has said that there could be a migration attempt from Haiti. Okay, that's what is actually said. Matt Gaetz blows it up, anticipated mass migration from Haiti, as we showed you last night, and intending to do this. I wasn't set to do this, but I'm going to set up real quick. As we showed you last night, the distance between the United States and Haiti by boat is a pretty significant distance. We'll give you a look at that here again in just a moment. I just had it up last night, and it's amazing. AI remembers things I've done on the computer. They remember things on my computer I did on my phone, but they're not showing. But it doesn't remember that I searched a map for Haiti last night. Odd. So let me put it in perspective here. We'll pop it on real quickly, and then we'll get back and finish up the breaking news. Here is Haiti. Here's Cuba, Jamaica, the Caymans, Turks and Caicos. That's where I'd really like to go. Puerto Rico, and then the British Virgin Islands. The current Prime Minister is on the island of Puerto Rico, the current Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry. He has said he will step down when a contingent government is put in place. We're going to touch on that a little bit more here in just a moment. But here you see Florida, and here's Haiti. So it is an extended, a very extended trip by boat to get to the South Shores. However, they are preparing for such an event. Let's get back to the scroll. Attendance at the CARICOM emergency conference held for Haiti crisis solution. It was Guyana. I talked about this last night, and I wanted to show it just to, just in case people doubt what I'm talking about. Guyana, Jamaica, U.S., Canada, Mexico, France. I'm not sure why France was there. That the Haitians were a French colony for a long time, and most Haitians aren't real fond of France, if I've got things straight, and I'm pretty sure I do. So I'm not sure why France was there. Anyway, we click down a little. Haiti, unnamed, unvoiced stakeholders. So basically, they're going to come in and put in these people are going to come in and want to put a government into Haiti that is primarily not what the people of Haiti are going to necessarily want. So, as we talked about on here last night, the people in control of Haiti are going to stay in control of Haiti until they get what they want. We mentioned last night also the Boeing whistleblower, 62-year-old John Barnett, found dead inside his truck in a hotel parking garage. Hold on just a second. Chris, I'm live, man. Let me call you back in just a few minutes. Boeing whistleblower, 62-year-old John Barnett, was found dead inside his truck in a hotel parking garage just days after recording this interview, which is the breaking part of this particular episode. And here's what he was going to be telling the authorities. Make sure the volume's up.
One, this is not a 737 problem, it's a Boeing problem. When I first started working at Charleston, I was in charge with pushing back defects to our suppliers. I'd take a group of inspectors and actually go to the supplier and inspect their product before they sent it in. Well, I'd taken a team of 4 inspectors to Spirit Aerosystems to inspect the 41 section before they sent it to Charleston. And we found 300 defects. Some of them were significant that needed engineering intervention. When I returned to Charleston, my senior manager told me that we had found too many defects and he was going to take the next trip. So the next trip he went on, he took 2 of my inspectors. And when they got back, they were given accolades for only finding 50 defects. So I pulled that inspector aside and I said, did Spirit really clean up their act that quick? That don't sound right. And she was mad. She said, no. Said the 2 inspectors were given 2 hours to inspect the whole 41 section and they were kicked off the airplane.
So, just something to think about. This is from Open Source Intelligence, okay? The rumblings are the Crimean Bridge will be destroyed on the day of Putin's rigged election. The presidential election is coming up in Russia on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of March. So we will keep that in mind as that is quickly approaching here, 3 days away. I went skiing this past winter, and yeah, I probably won't go anymore after that. KBG defector tells the Americans about the methods Soviet intelligence agencies used to weaken the West. See if this sounds anything like what you might have heard if you've been watching this program for a while when we were exposing what was happening with the QAnon videos.
The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in your enemy's country, be it moral traditions, religion, respect to your authority and leaders, cultural traditions, anything. Put white against black, old against young, I don't know, wealthy against poor, and so on. Doesn't matter. As long as it disturbs society, as long as it cuts the moral fiber of a nation, it's good. And then you just take this country, when everything is subverted, when the country is disoriented and confused, when it is demoralized and then destabilized, then the crisis will... The highest...
Then you take the country when it is demoralized. Again, giving you... you need to think about that, all right? You really need to seriously think about what you just heard. Think about what's going on in our country. And think about who could possibly be behind all this. And if you watch the show, you know 18 months ago I was telling everybody this is Russian propaganda being operated by AI. Voice of God technology. This is another one of the things I've got hit on as, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, all these direct energy weapons and lasers and all this stuff. None of this, and we've been talking about it for years. Here is the voice of God technology actually being deployed, and let's give this a listen.
Quote, voice of God weapon has already been created. The LRAD system, which is used to cast strong signals and crowd dispersion, can also be used to send messages long distances. I'll play a video of the CEO Woody Norris describing the voice of God weapon and what it can do when it first came out.
So again, this idea of being able to put sound anywhere you want to is really starting to catch on. It also works for transmitting and communicating data. It also works 5 times better underwater. We've got the military had just deployed some of these into Iraq, where you can put fake troop movements a quarter of a mile away on a hillside. Or you can whisper in the ear of a supposed terrorist some biblical verse. I'm serious. And they have these infrared devices that can look at their countenance and see a fraction of a degree Kelvin in temperature shift from 100 yards away when they play this thing. And so another way of hopefully determining who's friendly and who isn't. We make a version of this which puts out 155 decibels. Pain is 120. So it allows you to go nearly a mile away and communicate with people, and there can be a public beach just off to the side and they don't even know it's turned on. We sell those to the military presently for about $70,000, and they're buying them as fast as we can make them.
When you hear, and this is for your own good, those of you that are MAGA, all right, you're MAGA, you're gonna die for Donald Trump. That's asinine, first of all, and you know what little self-value you must have that your importance is based on Donald Trump. Please hear that. And I'm not saying it in a malicious way. I'm saying it to kind of wake you up. Because if you think you're going to come at the United States government, United States military, with your AK-47s, they're going to zap you with this kind of stuff, with drones, with things that you can't even fathom. And you're going to get the rest of us put into martial law. So knock it off, all right? Support your guy. Everybody else will support the other guy, because those are the only 2 choices people have. And, well, Robert Kennedy will come in and he'll take a lot of the male votes. Robert Kennedy and Aaron Rodgers will take a lot of the male votes away from Trump. But we'll talk about that at another time. Kenya has put on hold their planned deployment of a police security force to hold Haiti. Kenya's deployment is now on hold following the resignation of Ariel Henry. He has not officially resigned. That's been reported by a number of places, and his statement is he will resign once another government is in place. They're saying he's already resigned, and they're using that to justify not going in. Without a political administration in Haiti, there's no anchor on which the deployment can rest. Chris was telling you this last night in our episode, that and we talked about it today. He called just a little bit ago. Obviously, we've been talking about this, and I said, look, if there is no administration that will welcome foreign intervention, then that foreign intervention becomes invasion, and that escalates things to a whole different level. So the unrest in Haiti is going to be ongoing, but the people in charge, the guerrillas, are not just going to roll over and allow people from the outside to come in and tell them what to do anymore. Trump moved documents from Mar-a-Lago to Bedminster, that's his golf course, in 2022. That's where one of his wives is buried after being cremated in a giant coffin that took 14 people to carry. According to another Trump employee that has long been reported, including this video that just got recently released. This comes from this is the afternoon as the FBI was arriving at Mar-a-Lago to get documents. This was going on at the airport, transporting documents to his private plane. Make of that what you want. I advise you to give a listen to this. This is an interview with employee number 5, in case you aren't aware that this is out. Trump employee number 5. I'm going to play you a couple of minutes of it coming up. Brian Butler is now his name. He was anonymous until this interview. And I'm going to talk about that, touch on that in just a moment. I want to jump back up here just a second, because today there was a hearing about the pipe bombs that were found at the Capitol. And many people aren't even aware pipe bombs were found at the Democratic Committee headquarters and Republican Committee headquarters, because they're very close to each other, just a couple of blocks away from the Capitol. And for those that still say that it was nothing but a protest, it was not planned, it was all organic. Why were there bombs the night before, and why did they have T-shirts printed up in advance? Just a couple of basic common sense things that hopefully will start to penetrate people's perceptions. Let's go back down to and by the way, Ivan Rankin, who many observers think could possibly be the person that planted the bombs, Ivan Rankin was in the hearing today about the bombs. It's kind of something you would see in a movie or read in a book, and there's no way it could be real. Okay, as I said, Brian Butler testified about these Trump documents that I just showed you being loaded onto the plane. And it is a 26-minute long interview that in its entirety, almost 27 minutes, I believe, and you can find it online, but we're just going to catch about 2 minutes here.
Now, Brian Butler, who is known and referenced 6 times as Trump employee number 5 in the superseding indictment, was asked to help Walt Nauta, who is Trump's body man turned co-defendant, load those documents onto the plane. Here's what he told us about that moment.
And then what happened is Walt left before me, and he never goes directly to the plane. He's either in the motorcade or when he goes there with the boss, which the former president. And I remember telling him he left the club with, I didn't know what he had in his vehicle, but he waited for me at a nearby business, and I told him I would tell him when I was leaving Mar-a-Lago. So I left Mar-a-Lago, I texted him, hey, I'm on my way. He followed me, he pulled out and got behind me, we got to the airport. I ended up loading all the luggage I had, and he had a bunch of boxes.
You noticed that he had boxes?
Oh yeah, they were the boxes that were in the indictment, the white banker's boxes. That's what I remember loading.
And did you have any idea at the time that there was potentially U.S. national security secrets in those boxes?
No clue. No, I had no clue. I mean, we were just taking them out of the Escalade, piling them up. I remember they were all stacked on top of each other, and then we're lifting them up to the pilots.
How many boxes was it?
They asked me in the interview, and I believe it was 10 to 15 is what I remember. I know
They
it
being
was
the investigators.
correct.
And when you look back on that now, what do you...
Well, I had no clue until probably the end of June. There's a few different things that happened that kind of opened my eyes to, something's going on here.
So you get that unusual request. Did you ever think to yourself, why were there so many boxes at Mar-a-Lago?
For me, I'm just thinking, the former president, he has a lot of stuff he likes to lug around with him. I never would have thought it was anything like what we see now.
Classified documents.
Yeah,
Okay, again, that interview in its entirety, Caitlin Collins on CNN. Later on, when asked why he was doing this, Butler says that he wants the information to get out so the American people know the truth in case there are no trials ahead of the election. He wants people to have the information ahead of the election. We'll see how this goes. Our final story for tonight. Pittsburgh police will no longer respond to certain calls, including theft, harassment, criminal mischief, and burglary alarms. This is between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. There will be no officers at any police stations. And we are going to close with this story.
Rick, what was the big takeaway today?
Yeah, Susan, residents of the city will see a major change in the way police respond. They will no longer respond to calls that aren't considered in-progress emergency. That means calls like criminal mischief, theft, harassment, and most burglary alarms will all be handled by an enhanced telephone reporting unit. That means residents will file a police report over the phone. Officers will not respond unless it's an emergency. Also, between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., there will be no officers at any of the 6 stations throughout the city. Call boxes that link directly to 911 have been installed for people to use in case of an emergency. And during the overnight shift, there will be as few as 20 officers to cover the entire city. The chief said today the data supports that.
Yes, it's enough to cover the entire city in those hours when we have 8% of the time people are calling. I'm confident in the decisions that we make in the city in a much better way than we have in the past.
Now, the chief also acknowledging today that some of these changes are due to staffing shortages. He's down to 740 officers, well below the 850 they would like to have. Now, coming up new at 5, residents, city council, and the police union all weighing in on these big changes that begin Monday. Live in the studio.
There you go. So, yeah, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's when everybody's asleep and there aren't any criminals out. There aren't any criminals out doing anything. We'll see if that works in Pittsburgh, and if that indeed goes on to other countries. I began last night's episode with this, and let's end tonight. This is a repeat again of last night, and this is information in case a young person finds themselves held captive. The young girl's name is Lucky. She's 14 years old. And her hands are duct taped, and this time zip tied in front. Now, if you can't do that, if you can't break it with your shin, which I don't know if I would be able to now, you tie one shoestring after you wrap it around the lace. You tie one shoestring to the shoestring on the other shoe, and then you pedal, which creates a sawing motion, and the friction will burn through and weaken the zip tie, and you'll be able to to pull it off. Here she's showing how to do it from the back the same way. You get one shoestring tied to the other. After it's wrapped around, you pedal and you break free. Please consider sharing this. Pass that information along, and hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. Greatly appreciate you all being here as always, and thank you to those that popped into the chat on this unannounced special edition breaking news. Thank you to Pink Flamingo, not going away. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Amanda Arias. Who is this guy? This guy, me? My name is Barry Welsh. I'm also known as, AKA, American Doofus, AMERICANDUFUS. And you can email me, americandoofus@gmail.com. And you can also help support the show with the Cashapp, $ American Doofus, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS. And again, repeating the top headlines tonight. There has been a ceasefire brokered by the Biden administration in Gaza. It is a 6-week ceasefire. It includes returning all of the hostages. So we will see how that plays out. Second headline, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the New York Jets, and Jesse, the Body Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, former championship wrestler, they are the top two on the list of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be vice presidential candidates in his upcoming independent run. So I thank you all for clicking on here. Thank you for being here, and we will be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, an episode about the eclipse. Chris will be joining us Friday, our counterterrorism and military expert. He'll be on Friday. We'll be talking about a lot of things we discussed tonight and things that are going to be happening until then. So I hope you'll join tomorrow night, 9 p.m., and learn a little bit about what this eclipse is going to mean coming on April the 8th. Until then, again, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. Especially share that information about how our young people that are in danger of being abducted, that if such a horrific thing were to happen, that they would have a little bit of knowledge instead of just feeling totally helpless. Knowledge is power. And love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. Peace to you. Thank you for being here. Love y'all. And it's a dark world. Try to be a light.